Over 1,500 stones coming for the global Dokkan campaign. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We got another Dokkan battle video for you here today. We are continuing our prep series with episode 3, where we will discuss the amount of stones we can expect for the upcoming global Dokkan campaign. As many of you know, we are a month away from this big campaign where both Global and JP will be celebrating a massive celebration in order to celebrate Global's anniversary, right? They weren't going to just throw that out, and we knew this. So the celebration is meant to replace Tanabata and celebrate Global's anniversary, as well as merge the worldwide celebration, as they mentioned in the producer letter, with the Tanabata, the actual Tanabata celebration coming at a later date. We're not sure exactly when, but for now we know that this is coming. And they've mentioned that this is going to be a grand scale event in the line of anniversary and worldwide. So we can actually use that information, right? That little bit of information is actually a lot when we consider, right, trying to figure out the stone count. So for this, we will look at the month of June and the previous anniversaries and worldwides and try to pinpoint a rough estimate of what we can expect. So let's go ahead and let's hop on in. Let's talk about what we have right now. So we are currently in the midst of the part 2 of the Break the Limits Dokkan campaign. This is the Golden Week campaign with the Kale Caulifla part 2, and of course the Hit and Kaioken Goku for the part 1. Now, if you had listened to my advice in the beginning of the month and you saved your stones on these 2 units, you are actually looking at quite a big number of events here, right? If we actually look here, we are... Alright, if we actually look here, you guys can see that we have a significant number of events here, right? We have pixel characters, Golden Week login bonuses, right? Daily login missions, weekly missions. We have weekend missions that are now permanent for the month, and then of course, right, we had the Gohan and Goten Day missions, panel missions, all of these events in total, and we actually did total this up at the beginning for you guys, came out to about 380 stones. I actually think it ended up being slightly more, as I don't think I actually didn't factor in the extra. Oh no, I did. The worldwide campaign reward. Yeah, so in total, almost 400 stones from this campaign. So if you saved up, you've got minimum 380 stones right now, right? So this is a lot, and this actually doesn't even count like the Dokkan Day stuff, which will be, you know, in other months, right? That'll be more stuff added in. So pretty good deal here for us. 380 stones added on to whatever you've got so far. When we move into the month of June, that's where things get a little crazy, right? Because June is kind of a short month for Dokkan, right? We're going to roll into a Dokkan Fest and a part 2, maybe. We're actually not sure. They might hold off on that, given that we're going to be going into the global Dokkan campaign. But let's assume that they do, right? So a typical May-June celebration, right? And we've gone over this before. It doesn't really matter what it is, because the rough missions are gonna be the same. The average amount for a month is about 250 to 280 stones, right? So if we assume all the same things of, right, the profile character, your pixel character, daily login missions, daily logins and missions, so 30 a month plus all the missions, plus your weekly missions, plus login missions, plus panel missions, which have been pretty consistently 10 since 10th anniversary, right? They haven't really been changed much. We can assume that, you know, there'll be some kind of EX missions added to the event, like there has been with every celebration since anniversary. We can assume that we'll be getting the next quest mode, as there is a Dokkan maintenance coming up. Possibly a new DB story. Now this is a guess. We may or may not get this, but let's just assume we do, right? We're still got more stages for the Daima event coming, right? So that's 4 more stages here. We'll have a new Dokkan event adding 2 stones. We'll have a DFE LR or LR Easy A. Probably we'll get a Super Easy A, so that's another um, 41 stones right there. Virtual class, any support boost memory stages, giving us giving us 8 to 15 depending stones depending on the missions. All out. Now we do know that this all out battles seriously serious event is going to be getting more stages twice a month, right? So if we just assume that, right, 10 stones right there, and then we have been pretty consistently getting intensifying fights every month, so I can assume we might get another one here coming up, and that'll be another 16 stones there, a new super battle road, an extreme super battle road, 6 and 8 stones, and then I could, of course, a burst mode, and actually that should be 19 stones, not that, so that actually bumps this up to 290. So that is actually, you know, pretty average for a campaign for JP in June, right? So we're going off of JP's schedule. So like last year, this was the Frieza campaign. Last year on JP, this was the Rosé campaign. And so this is pretty average for the June campaign. On Global, we tend to get a little more stuff because it's like the preparation for our anniversary. So we get a lot of like pre-anniversary stuff. So I didn't factor that in here. But since this is a pre-big celebration, we could get some like preview missions, right? Some preview coins that can be exchanged during the campaign. We don't know till we know. We'll probably find out during the upcoming maintenance on the 28th. But rough estimate, if we follow JP's schedule, around 280 to 290 stones. Now, I kind of just threw up a placeholder here of the tank top trunks because I kind of want, right, the trunks where he kills the androids. This would be a cool like little in between Dokkan Fest. I doubt it'll ever get an LR, aside from this prime battle, of course, but it would be cool to have him as a Dokkan Fest. So I just kind of threw that in there. Hey, maybe this prediction's right, who knows, but that's just for fun. So if you saved from April, May, your Golden Week stones, right? Because remember, these guys will return on the worldwide banners, i.e. this Global Dokkan campaign, and whatever you're going to get in June. If you saved up these 2 stones, you're looking at just you're looking at 380 and plus 290. You're looking at 670 stones right there, right? That's 670 stones. That's, you know, halfway to pity almost, right? So for a non-LR character, so that's honestly pretty good. Now here's where things get a little tricky. Once we start trying to figure out what the Global Dokkan campaign is going to bring. So I'm going to use 2 things to look at here. Number 1, we have a total stone count here from Misaka from the anniversary, right? So shout out to Misaka for kind of totaling this up. This was sort of the best, most concise list I could find of everything since the wiki doesn't update anymore. And we will also look at last year's worldwide campaign. We don't have an official stone count, but I used the number that I had. I'm going to just go with the number that I had calculated based on when we did the stone overview last year of how much we got. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the anniversary. So 10th anniversary was the biggest anniversary to date with the most stones we've ever gotten, totaling in roughly 1,700 stones, somewhere between this, right? So that's a lot. That's the most we've ever gotten for an anniversary, right? So on the high end, right, 1,700 stones. On the low end, right, 1,100 to 1,200. That is the most we've ever gotten for the anniversary, right? This is factoring in like purchasing of like the stone packs, like the ones that give you 3 every day. So that's, you know, that's a lot going on here. You know, we had like in the countdown, right? Just in the countdown alone, like you can see here, like just in the countdown alone was 290 stones. Part 1 was 393 stones, 425 stones in Part 2. Part 3 gave 438 stones and just about 100 stones from Part EX, right? So that's a crazy amount of stones. If we assume this Global Dokkan campaign is going to be the same, right? We can assume another 200. We'll go on the average between the two, right? So let's just say 250 here. So 250 from the preview campaign, right? And that might be on the high ends, but because worldwide doesn't typically get this. But again, this is meant to celebrate Global's anniversary, so I think it's fair to assess a higher number here. Worldwide preview countdown campaigns tend to give a little less. In fact, most anniversary campaigns tended to give a little less, but you know, is what it is. Let's just assume here that let's just assume that it's going to be similar, because what this is factoring in is not only the login stones, but it's also factoring that's the 77 stones they gave from the live stream, which they will probably do something similar again. So moving in, right, we look at part 2. Or part 1 rather, if we factor in, we'll take some of this out, because I mean, we're probably not going to get like 5 story events here, right? We might get one of these, right? So we are just going to go ahead and subtract, what is that? Let's just say on average, let's say 12, because most events bring like 6 stages, right? So let's just say on average 12 stones here, right? So we'll get rid of this one, and this one, right? Because we're probably not going to get 4 story events. So from the logins, we're getting 3 stones per day, so that's 66 stones. That makes sense, right? We get 12 stones from missions. We're not going to count this. This is the social media stones, right? 2 per part, right? So we can factor that in. So 66 plus 12 for the missions plus 2. We're not going to count this. We're not going to count the Baba Shop trade. I'm going to come back to this at the end, but we're gonna count this separately. Okay, 2 for the Dokkan event, right? Let's assume it's a Carnival and LR. A Carnival LR and a Dokkan LR, so I doubt they're going to do 6 LRs again, so we're just going to go another 2 for the Dokkan event here. Okay, and then we're going to do another, let's see, the story event. So let's say average 12 here for the story event. Dokkan Chronicles, I doubt we're going to get something like this again, so we're not going to count that. We could see since this is meant to be like worldwide, we could see like a worldwide battle version of this. We did kind of get something like that last year, so we could get an update of this. If we do, let's just say safely another 15 stones, and right, just like they did with here, they'll split it up. So let's just say 15 for part 1. A Supreme Magnificent Battle or Red Zone, we'll get something. There'll be some kind of event, so we'll say, let's just follow with the same. Let's go 20. Yeah, 5 stages plus missions. Yeah, 22 makes sense. So let's go 22. Or I'm sorry, 3 stages with 5 stones per mission. That makes sense. Yeah, because then you have usually the 2 for clearing plus the missions. So yeah, okay. There'll probably be a Link Orb event like this. There might be more, but let's just say the 1 for now. New DB story. Again, this could average 12 to 17. I've seen them as high as 24 depending on how many stages, so let's just average 20 here. All right, so average 20. Top grossing, if we get top grossing, it's a flat 50 stones, so let's just assume we do. And I'm not going to count multiple super easy A's. I'm just going to say 1 super easy A here, and then 1 Dokkan Fest easy A, so that's 33 stones, and then 1 LR easy A. That's typically how this works for these campaigns. Part 1 in the anniversary was a lot more of extra stuff, so as super easy A's, but they made up the stones elsewhere, so let's just assume that. And then we got the new Battle Hardened Formidable Foes. We could, maybe we'll get some extra stones here for maybe we'll get new missions for battle hardened formidable foes, or they might add a new event. Honestly, with the amount of events that we have, I doubt we're getting anything new. So I could see them adding like 3 new missions to this. So let's say 15 stones there, that they add 3 new missions to battle hardened formidable foes, because they do seem to be building units around it. So I think that's a pretty safe assumption. And then from there, of course, right, the Daima story. By this point, we should be getting the final stage, so it's really only going to be 2 stones plus any additional missions. So let's just say 2 stones. And then from there, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, we factor the Dokkan day, so that's 10 stones now. And our total comes out to about 300 stones with all of that counted up there. And that's just part 1. So you add that to our previous count, right, of the 640, and that's already 940 stones. That's 1,000 stones from June all the way to part 1. Oh, actually, sorry, we forgot to add in the countdown. So let's say if we add in the countdown, including any live stream stones that we may get, 77, 60, whatever it is. Let's just average 250 here, and that brings us to about that's already 1,190 stones, roughly, right? 1,100 to 1,200 stones, and that's part 1 only. When we look at part 2 here, all right, 33. So we've got 33 for login. We've got missions, another 12 here, and this is pretty consistent with the panel missions. 10 to 12. So we'll say 12. There will be likely a social media campaign bonus here for the 4. And then, right, no story events, right? So we're only counting, we're not going to count all of these. So let's just assume, right, 3 more stages get added to one of them. So another 12 stones there. And then red zones or ultimate battles. I'm only considering 1 event, right? Yeah, actually, that's tough. I mean, I really can't see them adding more than 1 new event, right? Because we've already got so much. That would be a lot for the year. So I really don't see them adding more than 1 new event. So I'm only going to factor 1. If we get more, great. That just means our stone count's higher. But let's say they add more stages here. So another 23 stones here. Whether it's a magnificent battle or red zone, we'll factor that in. We might get more missions for it. I'm not going to count battle hardened formidable foes. I doubt we'll get new stages or new missions. Like one of these parts might give us new missions, but I doubt all of them are, so we're not going to count that. The Training in the Clouds event did come through. That gave us 21 stones. We might have something similar. Actually, we probably will. Although it might not give stones. We will definitely have some kind of link level event and some kind of or new orb event. So let's just go, yeah, let's count that. So the link level event and then 1 for a skill orb events. Okay, there will likely be a new clash, which I don't think, did I count here? Oh, well, I guess it was counted here in this one. So they could do a part 2 clash, but I mean, it didn't really give that much stones, and this seems to be what they're doing, but so let's count it. So a couple stones. This will usually give like summon tickets, the second clash in these big celebrations. 2 LR EZAs. A lot of people are thinking they're going to EZA the worldwide units, the Super Saiyan, Goku and Vegeta, and the Cooler. So let's just roll with that. Let's assume that they do, and then that will give us another 66 stones there. Not going to count this. This was the social. This was the social media campaign where you had to go in, you had to like tweet stuff out, and then like buy your rewards with points. So I'm not going to count that. I doubt they're going to do that again this year, so let's just assume they do it the once. Again, I'm only assuming 1 new stage. I'm not assuming multiple fights, so we're not going to count this. Battle motions, obviously, they haven't been doing campaigns for the battle motions when they've added new battle motions, so I doubt we're going to see any more of this, right? The new Dokkan event for the part 2, and then, of course, assuming we get any top grossings, and then a super EZA for 25 stones, and then a social media, or not social media, the live stream stones, right? So if we add all of that in, that brings our total up to 1,450 stones for the total from, if you had saved from beginning of Golden Week to this part of the global Dokkan campaign. Jumping into the part 3, again, same thing, right? 33 stones here. 10 for the missions. We did 12 for all the others, so let's just continue and say 12. Another 2 social media stones. We'll say another 12 stones for whatever stage gets added, right? So that's essentially, let's see here, and then another 23 stones for whatever new missions or stages get added to the next set of red zones. The training in the the trading in the clouds event, actually, yeah, that's right. So you had to get the items from this and trade them for stones. So we'll actually come back to that. So we can subtract the 21 from the previous one. It doesn't change really too much the overall, right? It's still roughly 1,400 stones. So we won't count that here, actually. So that's my mistake there. We can assume, right, we might get more of like that worldwide battle situation going on, right, if they revamp it. So if they do, because the last time, I think it only went up to the cooler movie worldwide. So they could definitely revamp it and add the newer worldwides as well. So if we assume that, it was the memorable battles, that's what it was. So if we assume we get that, then that's another 20, well, let's just say 25 stones there. Daima is going to be done by then, so we're not counting that, right? Some kind of EZA will happen in that celebration. We don't know what. And then from there, so we could get a part EX. Last year we got a part EX EZA, right? And that was the Gogeta and Janemba, so we could see something random like that. Let's assume we do. They like to do that big stuff, so that's another 66 stones right there, plus a burst mode for 19 stones. And then any top grossing or thanks that we get at the end, we'll probably get a big thank you, which is about 30 stones. And so all of that brings our total to 1,700 stones. All right. Then we factor in the final part EX, whatever that ends up being. We'll probably this could bring a new stage. This could bring some new stuff for us. So this one had a little more because it was also tied to the, new Dokkan campaign for the Vegeta, which didn't really have a lot, but it was still more than most previous EXs. So we'll just average 100 stones here for an EX, and that'll give us 1,800 stones for this campaign. And, you know, that pretty much lines up, right? Right, on average, right, 1,300 stones total here is pretty average for these campaigns. It's a little on the high end. I mean, this anniversary specifically, right, we didn't count a lot of stuff here, but was the highest to date. But right, 1,100 to 1,300 is pretty average, right? That is what we calculated out last year for the Heated Showdown campaign for the Broly. So if it's similar to that, you're looking at roughly 1,800 stones from now until the end of it, which means, you know, you're going to be putting yourself in a really good position to summon on whatever these banners end up being. I doubt it's going to be a 6LR situation. It's probably going to be a part 1 and part 2 Dokkan Fest Carnival, and just 4 LR celebration seems like is going to be the way to go. Now, if they go all out, right? If they go all out and they basically copy the format of Anniversary minus the 6 LRs, and they add all these events just like they did in Anniversary, right? We're being very on the conservative side here. But if they go all out and they add those extra 400 stones, that is actually 2,200 stones. 2,207 is what I've got here for all of these. But wait, there's more, right? Because one thing that's not factored in here, and that we didn't factor when we did the stone breakdown last year for the Heated Showdown campaign, was these events right here. So we, in the past, have gotten, and we did get one last year, although they kind of changed the formatting of it, but we typically get these events that can be cleared once per day, once per week, and this one was once per week. And then or like the Bulma one. Now the Bulma one was crazy because, right, it was until everybody, I think until we got the whole world got 350 million stones or something like that. And so like we literally just kept going, and we ended up getting over like 200 something plus stones from this event alone. I doubt they'll ever do anything like this again, but you could basically clear it every day and get 10 stones. Same thing for this one, although it was a little less. It was 3 stones per day, and it only started, I think it started in part, oh no, it started right at the beginning. Yeah, okay, it did start right at the beginning. Yeah, so you get 3 stones per day from this. And this one, they ended up going into the next celebration. That's how crazy it was before they finally just said, here, take the risk. Don't do it anymore. So yeah, but I didn't even factor in these types of events, right? We had this one, 30 stones per week from the Cooler movie celebration. So, you know, we will probably get something like this during this campaign. Now, this could add anywhere from, right? So like this one during the Cooler movie celebration gave us 30, 90, 180 stones. During this one from the 24th to the 8th, right? That's 824 to 98. Oh, that's the last one. So there were more than this. Yeah, that's not a good time. But it basically went the span of the event, right? So, right, if we calculated it out, this one gave like 99 stones, right? Because 3 stones per day. All right, 31 days. So that's yeah. So that one gave a lot. This one gave, like we said, 180. So this one actually ended up being a lot less, but still, I mean, it's still a good amount. So that's not even factoring in that, but it would, you know, it would definitely add to our total, which could push us close to 2,000 by the end of the campaign. Now, why is that important, right? I know many of you guys are, you know, like, well, hey, I want to spend all of this stones. This is just to let you know that, hey, you're going to have roughly anywhere between, you know, 1,400 to 1,400 to 1,800 stones to work with here in order to summon on the Global Dokkan campaign. Or hey, maybe you want to save it till Tanabata. Maybe you want to save it till next anniversary, right? I'm just here to let you know that there's a crap ton of stones coming your way in the next couple of months. So guys, that is it for the video. If you like our video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and in the comments down below, let us know how many stones do you have, and if you decided to save all of this, what would that actually put you at? What would you have by the start of the campaign if you factor in the month of June? Let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.